Ever struggle to take a full deep breath? If so, you're not alone. Most people are breathing in a way that keeps them sick, tired, and stressed. By the end of this episode, you'll know how to make better breathing easy. No weird gadgets or wild techniques necessary. You'll be able to breathe in a way that improves your posture, your digestion, and even your sleep. Hi, I'm Allison Starr. I've been teaching moving and breathing for almost 20 years. I work with thousands of students, hundreds of clients, and you get the best and brightest of my teaching here. Here was my breakthrough with breathing. For years, I had low back pain and SI joint instability. To be honest, my back was out more often than not. I was in my teacher's office for a one-on-one session, and we're trying to figure out the alignment so my low back is finally stable, my core is on in a way that's actually helping, and I wasn't laying down to put my pants on every few weeks. He had me doing this and that, and I was trying really hard, and I started to sweat profusely. And not temperature sweat, but nervous sweat, which is a totally different thing. He had carpet in his office because he was an Ayurvedic doctor, an acupuncturist, as well as a yoga asana teacher. And I'm watching these drops of sweat just plop onto the carpet. But I'm still trying, I'm still going, I'm doing everything I can. And finally he says, stop right there. And he puts his hand on my back lower ribs and says, breathe here. And then he said again, and again, and again. And finally he said, when you're breathing well, your alignment is fine. I can see everything stabilize. He was right, and I could feel it. My breathing was the source of my chronic pain and recurring injury. And I didn't know it then, but it was also influencing my digestion and my nervous system. But it took me years to train myself to breathe differently. We just didn't have as much information back then. But I'm gonna synthesize and distill everything I know so functional breathing is easy to do and implement for you. So here's how today's episode is going to go. First, I'll define what functional breathing actually means with anatomy and science. Next, we'll diagnose dysfunctional breathing so you know what it looks like and you can see it if you have it. Step 3 is we're going to practice a simple technique that you can use immediately. Last, I'll give you 3 steps to anchor functional breathing in your daily life so it becomes your default setting. So functional breathing is driven by the diaphragm, in and out through your nose, slow, soft, and subtle. Let's break down each of those. Your diaphragm is the muscle of your breathing. It's a domed musculotendinous sheet. It's under the lungs. It separates your chest from your abdomen. During inhale, it's intended to widen, flatten, and descend. And on exhale, it lifts up and in. When it pulls down on the inhale, it creates a vacuum and it draws air into your lungs. When it lifts back up on the exhale, it pushes air out of your lungs. Now, that exhale, the diaphragm's coming back to a resting position. So the engagement you'll feel during exhale is from the intercostals and the abdominals. The diaphragm attaches to your ribs, to your sternum, and to your low back. It actually has what are called crura legs, and the legs of the diaphragm braid into the upper attachments of the psoas. This relationship of the diaphragm and the psoas influences posture. And when you get the diaphragm moving in relationship and rhythm with the pelvic floor, you have intra-abdominal pressure. It creates this stable, easily upright core. And then your psoas, your hip flexors, can be released and relaxed again, aiding in that easy upright posture rather than pulling and tightening and creating rounding that you can't get out of no matter what you do. The movement of the diaphragm is like a pump and it influences circulation of blood, of lymph. It massages your heart and your abdominal organs, so it aids in things like digestion, elimination, and heart rate variability. So your diaphragm isn't just moving air in and out of the lungs. It's like the engine of your body, and it's pumping blood, food, it's even influencing your mood. Here are some things about the diaphragm that have tripped up students. The diaphragm is a muscle, so it can be tight, it can be weak, it can be underutilized, it can be restricted in some areas. Just like any muscle in the body, it is trainable and you will need to work with it. The diaphragm is slow twitch muscle fibers, so it doesn't feel the same way as fast twitch muscles like your quads and your traps. It's an endurance muscle. It's meant to be an engine on all the time. So don't look for that intense sensation that you experience with fast twitch muscles. Look for rhythm, look for endurance. The diaphragm is active on inhale. That's when it's widening, flattening, descending. And on exhale, it's returning to a resting position. So there's nothing to do with the diaphragm on exhale. The engagement you feel is in the abdominals and intercostals, and they're just aiding the diaphragm's movement and getting air out of the lungs. The inverse is true for the pelvic floor. During inhale, the pelvic floor is reflecting that widening, flattening, descending of the diaphragm. And on the exhale, the pelvic floor is actively being drawn up and in. If you're looking for a sense of abdominal engagement, you're going to miss the power of the diaphragm because you're going to be working the abs. Instead, real core, intra-abdominal pressure core is when you feel solid in the torso of your body, like a taut drum. It's not a bracing, a gripping, or a muscular contraction. The next element of functional breathing is in and out through your nose. You want to breathe in and out through your nose because the nose is a filter. It also humidifies the air as it's coming into your lungs. The nose also produces nitric oxide, which is like a miracle molecule for your body. If you can't breathe in and out through your nose, keep trying. Nasal strips, the magnetic nose openers can help immensely, and taping your mouth. Slow, soft, and subtle is what you want your breathing default setting to be. Not huffing, puffing, hissing, or anything like that. Anything other than that, you want to be intentional and go after a certain effect or impact. For example, during core work, we inhale through the nose and then exhale through pursed lips like you're blowing through a straw. This is because that elongated exhale and the shape of the mouth will give you more deep core engagement. Similarly, any breath work or pranayama technique is meant to be intentional in going after a certain effect. For example, Wim Hof, Tumo, Kapalabhati are all energizing and stimulating breathing techniques. They exaggerate the inhale, which is related to the sympathetic nervous system and the phrenic nerve, so you build energy and excitement inside of the body. In contrast, breathing techniques like Brahmari elongate the exhale, so they're stimulating the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic pathway, so you get that cool, calm, content effect. So functional breathing is driven by the diaphragm, in and out through the nose, slow, soft, and subtle. And I don't love the term functional breathing. It's just the one we've settled on. And functional breathing means that it supports all systems in your body. Everything from your nervous system to your digestive system to your sleep. You want that to be the default setting in your body. Contrast that with dysfunctional breathing. Now, dysfunctional breathing doesn't mean that you're not breathing. You're just not breathing optimally. It's not having as much benefit and positive impact as it could. Let's go back to the engine metaphor. Your breathing is the engine of your body. And if you compare it to the engine of a car, if the engine of your car is running smoothly, cleanly, clearly, your car is going to run a lot longer and a lot better. If there's something a little bit off about the engine, it's going to show up somewhere. It may be big or small, but it will definitely have an impact, especially as time goes on. And the same is true with your breathing. When you're breathing functionally, it impacts every system in your body positively. You're running cleaner, smoother, clearer. When you're breathing dysfunctionally, there can be little hiccups here and there, and they will build up over time. Next, we're going to diagnose 4 common dysfunctional breathing patterns so you know what to look for and you can see it if it's happening inside of you. 1. Upper chest breathing. This is when your breathing is mostly in the upper lungs and you see a lot of movement in the shoulders and the neck. This breathing is very shallow, and it sets off a vicious cycle of the shallow breathing creates a stressed out state. The stressed out state leads to more shallow breathing. The movement of the neck and shoulders up and down is stimulating the trapezius muscle. That is a very fast twitch muscle related to our fear response. So again, it further perpetuates this cycle of shallow breathing, stress response, fight or flight. The chest breathing also limits the amount of oxygen exchange with the blood because that happens deeper in the lungs. And when you're doing that short, shallow, chronic hyperventilation pattern, you are only using the upper lungs. Here's a quick and easy remedy for that short, shallow chest breathing. Put your hands on your lower ribs. It'll draw your awareness down into the diaphragm and focus on the expansion of the ribs, front, back, side to side. It'll help you draw your breathing down in your body. The next dysfunctional breathing pattern is mouth breathing. Here, there's no filtration. It dries the tissues of your mouth, your sinuses, your throat. It reduces your use of the diaphragm. You don't get the nitric oxide miracle molecule benefit. It's linked to anxiety, sleep apnea, and snoring. Remedy? Tape your mouth. Tape your mouth if you can during the day, but especially at night. As one of my students would say, 50% nose breathing is better than 0% nose breathing, so do what you can. Dysfunctional breathing pattern number 3 is holding your breath. This often happens when you're stressed, under tension, or concentrating. It spikes your blood pressure as well as your nervous system. You go right into fight or flight mode. The remedy is when you notice you're under stress, tension, concentration, and you start holding your breath, is inhale through your nose and long, slow exhale through your mouth. Do that at least 5 times. One of my students said when she tries to use her breathing to shift her nervous system, it can create more stress, and that makes sense. So if the breathing is not working, you can try movement. Move in order to breathe fully, deeply, and functionally. Other quick tricks are massage your jaw and pull on your ears. You can also massage the sides of your throat. All of these will stimulate the vagus nerve, and then you can do the breathing to soothe your nervous system. The last dysfunctional breathing pattern is reverse breathing or an inverted breathing pattern. And this is when you suck the belly up and in during the inhale, and the diaphragm gets sucked up and in too. So you can't get that widening, descending, flattening in order to pull the air you need into the lungs. Now, most people, when they suck the belly in, lift the diaphragm up and in during inhale, then they also bear down, push down on exhale. And this breathing pattern leads to things like gastrointestinal distress, acid reflux, pelvic floor pain, inguinal hernias, and more. This breathing pattern makes it impossible to get real core because you have distorted intra-abdominal pressure. So you also destabilize the spine, and a lot of low back pain and SI instability comes from this. This is the breathing pattern that I had. The remedy is to allow the ribs to soften down. Focus on breathing front, back, side to side, getting that widening, flattening, and descending of the diaphragm during inhale. You will have to let your belly go for that. And I think that's the hardest part for many of us. So this breathing pattern is a lot about not doing the things you thought were right or good, or you were taught to do or trained to do, or you've done every time you've lifted your arms up for a sun salute, and not doing that pattern to allow something else to occur. Now that you know how to diagnose dysfunctional breathing, you can make the shift into functional breathing as your default setting. And yes, this requires some work, some awareness, and retraining, but it is worth it because of the impact it has on your body, on your organs, and your nervous system. With your body, it will impact your posture, your stability, and your strength. You will be more easily upright. You'll have that intra-abdominal pressure for stability in the core of your body, and you will have more strength, more power from it too. For your organs, functional breathing will impact circulation, digestion, your heart, even the oxygen flow to your brain. Functional breathing also balances the branches of your nervous system, and it gives you a way to quickly shift from fight or flight into the cool, calm, and content of the parasympathetic nervous system. Believe it or not, that's just the short list. Your breathing will impact every system in your body, from ankle stability to cortisol levels to sleep. So do this with me. Put your hands on your ribs, close your eyes. Breathe in through your nose and feel the front ribs widen and expand. As you exhale through your nose, feel the front ribs drop in and down. Just a few more rounds of breathing. Inhaling through the nose and feeling the widening of the ribs as the diaphragm drops down. Exhaling through the nose and feeling the ribs drop in and down as the diaphragm lifts up. Keep your eyes closed and notice, do you feel different already? Have your shoulders softened? Did your belly release and relax? Did you start to salivate a little bit? All of these are signs that your vagus nerve is stimulated. You're in the parasympathetic pathway. You're shifting from that go, 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 do into a more open and receptive and settled state. If that made a difference, imagine what 20 minutes can do. We have live guided breathing practices as part of the Fall in Love with Your Breathing Challenge. For more info on that, check out the link below. Before we wrap up, I want to go over common misperceptions and breathing mistakes. One is breathing into your belly. I think yoga teachers and meditation teachers used this to encourage students and participants to move from that short, shallow chest breathing into the diaphragm. But you don't breathe in your belly or with your belly, so it's more anatomically accurate to say breathe with your diaphragm. Yes, it's trickier. Yes, it's a little more complicated. Everyone knows where their belly is. Not everyone knows where their diaphragm is or how to use it or what to do with it. But forego the ease of belly breathing for the accuracy of breathing with your diaphragm. Another common misperception is that breathing is just for relaxation. Your breathing is for every system in your body. And the more skillful and knowledgeable you are about your breathing, the more you can use it in powerful ways. Another common misperception is, I'm already breathing, doesn't matter how. It matters immensely. Remember, it affects every system in your body. Just like the engine of your car, how it running will impact everything about your car. How you're breathing will impact everything about your body, mind, and nervous system. People don't say this out loud, but it's like a deep subconscious belief that breathing is too simple to be powerful. It's simple because it's foundational. So you have an opportunity to reset the foundation of your body, to fine-tune your engine. And you have 20,000 chances to do that every day. Here's one that comes up a lot for students. If I'm breathing, I can't engage my core. If you're experiencing that, you're looking for the wrong type of core. You're looking for that engaging, contracting, bracing, abdominal type of core. And breathing for core is different. It's intra-abdominal pressure. It's that taut like a drum stability. And if you get that, you will have all the core you've ever needed and wanted. If you continue to go after the muscular core work engagement, you'll never find it. Let's wrap up. You don't need an hour-long practice, gadgets, balloons, or intense breathwork exercises to improve your breathing. You just need awareness and small adjustments. Here are 3 simple steps to make it easy. 1, notice your breathing. Just pay attention multiple times throughout your day, especially when you're stressed, under tension, or concentrating. Adjust what you notice. Remember that functional breathing is driven by your diaphragm, in and out through your nose, slow, soft, and subtle. If you notice you're breathing into your chest, hands on your ribs, draw your breathing down into your diaphragm. If you're breathing in and out through your mouth, shift back to your nose. If you're doing something weird or not breathing at all, Inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Just try to reset the natural rhythms. Anytime you catch it, that's a victory. That's a win. Make sure you celebrate, because it's the noticing and celebrating that trains your brain to keep looking. Remember, your breathing is trainable. Your diaphragm is a muscle, but it will not happen overnight. This is a relationship you're building with your body and your breathing. If you want the guidance of expert teachers and the momentum of community for building this relationship with your breathing, join us for the Fall in Love with Your Breathing Challenge. It's 10 days, just 20 minutes a day. You have access to the replays, additional resources, and it's free. Use the link below to find more details and sign up. Thank you for being here. To keep learning and growing with me, hit the subscribe button below.